The scene opens showing a bank just ahead of us. Inside, we watch for individuals who just robbed the whole place. Then Max begins pursuing the other robbers. Yet, after some time, he recognizes they have completely tricked him and escaped. However, he spots the crew heading underground. Consequently, Max follows them inside. He realizes he cannot drive his vehicle any further. Therefore, he exits the car, quickly grabbing a nearby pipe. Just then, he notices a man approaching on a bike. Max tackles him, knocking him down. The two immediately begin fighting. Max soon discovers this individual is none other than Jacob. At this, Max moves to arrest the fugitive. Jacob, however, presents a firearm. He doesn't murder Max. Instead, he shoots him precisely in the leg. He mounts the bike and flees with his accomplices. Max is left in disbelief. Why did Jacob let him live? Max has been hunting him for several years. After some time, an airplane is shown before us. On board this plane, we are introduced to a young man named Juan. Juan is Jacob's son. Right now, he is extremely anxious. He has sustained a gunshot wound. He immediately bolts from his spot. Just as the plane begins its ascent, right before, he leaps from the aircraft. The moment he lands, he phones his father, exclaiming that he destroyed everything. He adds perhaps he won't survive much longer. He mentions he is heading to Greg. Jacob urgently, repeatedly asks him to explain the entire situation. Juan lacks the necessary time to explain it all. He collapses unconscious. Then, the police arrive on location. They capture Juan. However, witnessing the state of his son, Jacob is intensely distressed. We shift focus to Max. He is still pursuing Jacob. The most significant issue for Max is this: his leg injury never healed properly. He is, therefore, still receiving treatment. At that moment, his doorbell rings. The instant Max opens the door, we are introduced to a woman named Sarah. We quickly learn Sarah is Max's professional partner. The two of them are assigned to the exact same case. Yet, it's revealed Sarah harbors deep feelings for Max. She cannot admit this. The pair proceeds to meet a man called Dean. Dean had a history of stealing weapons. Consequently, the police were monitoring him. One day, he committed murder. The person he murdered was Otis. Following this, the police apprehended him. They now possess evidence. Dean is, therefore, facing imminent sentencing. These two detectives are managing this investigation. We then meet two additional police officers. They are named Nathan and Thomas, and both men are Max's superiors. They approach Max and Sarah. Nathan informs Max they must release Dean sometime soon. This is because they no longer have any evidence against him. The security guard who witnessed Dean commit murder has recanted his statement. He is now refusing to testify. Besides that eyewitness, we possess no other concrete proof. This leads me to believe Dean will be freed from jail shortly. Upon learning this, Max becomes extremely irate. He storms back to the office alongside Sarah. Just then, Max receives a phone call from someone named Juka. Juka is another one of Max's partners. He reveals the police apprehended Rohan. And you know who Rohan is? Rohan is Jacob's son. But Rohan placed his final phone call from Iceland. It was made to a landline number. He undoubtedly must have contacted his father. This provides us with solid confirmation. Jacob is currently located in Iceland. Nathan immediately learns this information. He quickly assembles his whole unit, announcing that they are all deploying to Iceland. Once they arrive there, they will apprehend Jacob. The moment Max hears this plan, he realizes this entire mission is destined to fail. Jacob won't be in Iceland whatsoever. He will be heading somewhere near his son. He tries to tell Nathan not to proceed. And don't deploy your team to Iceland. Upon hearing this criticism, Nathan becomes furious. He snaps that Max has zero right to comment about Jacob. Because if Max was a competent detective, he would have captured him 3 years prior, rather than getting overpowered by him. After hearing this insult, Max is enraged. The two men are about to come to blows. The other people in the room separate them. Meanwhile, we see Jacob. He desperately needs to get to his son, needing to discover exactly what transpired with him. So he gathers all the cash into a bag. Simultaneously, he rigs the entire house with explosives. This is set so if anybody enters the location following his departure, the whole house will detonate. This is when Nathan dispatches his unit to Iceland. They arrive at this specific house. Cautiously, they begin to advance. They are completely unaware of what Jacob has done here. Therefore, the instant they breach the house, the entire structure explodes. A large number of Nathan's officers are killed. Upon hearing this news, everyone is absolutely devastated. We next see the mayor. The mayor is currently holding a press conference. Following the press conference, Max and Sarah approach. Max suggests to the mayor that they should publicly release the location of Rouen. Upon learning this, Jacob will surely come to see him. Once Jacob arrives at that location, we will manage to capture him quite easily. And a father will definitely come to save his daughter. The mayor immediately likes this particular idea. He therefore instructs Max and Sarah that they both must maintain surveillance on Rouen. They must also publish his location. We cut to Jacob meeting his associate. This man's name is Roy. Roy informs Jacob his son was trapped in a serious problem. He was associated with a man named Otis. Just recently, Otis was murdered. The person responsible for killing Otis also attacked Rouen. Now, Roy thinks he won't let Rouen survive. This means Jacob must save his son's life. Hearing this news, Jacob becomes enraged. We shift to Sarah and Max. They are stationed at Rouen's hospital. Yuka is present there with them. They are all waiting patiently for Jacob to arrive. We then see that Jacob has indeed arrived. He discovers his son's condition is extremely critical. He knows now he will not be able to escape from here easily. Just then, he spots a man who arrived there to visit his relative. He purposefully directs this visitor toward Rouen's room. The moment the police realize that an unauthorized person is in Rouen's room, all available officers rush to that spot. Complete chaos breaks out everywhere. Jacob, of course, exploits this distraction and slips away from there very easily. However, the instant he is clear, he phones Roy first. He reports the police are surrounding the whole hospital. This means he won't be retrieving Rouen easily. After explaining this, he demands to know about Gray. Roy immediately provides him with the location of a hotel. Jacob promptly heads toward the hotel. We then cut back to Rouen, whose condition is deteriorating rapidly. At this point, his superior confronts Max. He begins to reprimand Max and says the hospital incident created tremendous chaos today. The media is discussing it everywhere. Max reveals to him that Rouen has died. But he insists nobody must learn about this development. Because as long as Jacob believes his son is alive, he will continue returning to the hospital. His superior reluctantly agrees to this plan. We shift perspective to Roy and Jacob. They have arrived at that hotel. They soon learn the name of this specific hotel is Greg Omar's. This is where Rouen was staying. So they immediately head to Rouen's room. Inside, they locate a bag. There is a large sum of cash inside this bag. Noticeably, there are bloodstains covering the money. Upon seeing this crucial evidence, Jacob understands what must have happened here. The person connected to this money, he murdered Otis and also shot Rouen during the incident. Jacob instructs Roy to leak this information everywhere, the place Rouen was staying, and his specific room number. When the wealthy culprit responsible finds out, he will certainly return to this room. And then I will end him. Roy does exactly as instructed. We check back in with Max. By now, Max is slowly becoming obsessed with catching Jacob. Max then assigns Sarah to follow Dean. He tells her to discover his current location. He, meanwhile, visits the security guard who was supposed to testify against Dean. Max starts questioning him, demanding, "Who threatened you? Give me his name. I promise nothing bad will happen to you." Yet this guard refuses to say anything. Just then, Max receives a call from Juka. He informs him that Rouen had been staying at the hotel named Grego. Upon hearing this, Max immediately leaves for that hotel. We now see Jacob waiting in that same room. He is lying in wait for the killer. Presently, several people arrive at the room and begin frantically searching for the money everywhere. The moment Jacob confirms their intent, he begins eliminating them, one by one. In a short, brutal fight, he kills all of them. This is when Max arrives. He too happens to hear the gunfire sounds. He sprints toward that specific room. He arrives just as Jacob is fleeing. Max instantly gives chase, following him. Jacob continues running. Max keeps pursuing him just like that, but after a short time, Max's injured leg flares up again. He collapses onto the ground, grimacing in pain. Other police officers start swarming the area here. Max forces himself up and returns to that room. Inside, he discovers a pair of eyeglasses. He secures the item, keeping it with him as evidence, hoping it helps identify who was present here. We then see Sarah, who is still tailing Dean. Dean eventually goes toward a storage container. Sarah maintains her pursuit, following him. Suddenly, Dean manages to ambush Sarah. Right there, he proceeds to kill Sarah. We shift to Jacob, who meets his associate again. He asks the associate about Harvey. Harvey, it turns out, was the man who came to the hotel that night, the one who was just recently killed by Jacob. He then discovers that Harvey was actually Nathan's partner, and Nathan is a detective. This information leaves Jacob completely baffled. He cannot figure out what is really happening here. We see Max, who also learns the identity of Harvey because he has located Harvey's body. Max furiously storms in to see his superior, Thomas. He demands to know what Harvey was doing there. Harvey isn't even in this division. That's why I cannot understand why he was there. Thomas reluctantly explains that Nathan was the one who sent him. He was apparently working for Nathan. After processing all this, Max becomes even more suspicious. He realizes that his colleagues are hiding something. Nathan is definitely involved in the murders of Juan and Otis. This makes him become extremely guarded. It's then Max realizes Sarah hasn't checked in with him since last night. He immediately goes to Juka and tells him to run a trace on Sarah's location. Meanwhile, Jacob telephones Nathan. He informs Nathan that he wants a meeting. He needs to know the person who killed his son. Nathan agrees and provides him an address. At the same time, Thomas calls Max. He passes that exact same address along to Max. He says that Jacob is heading there tonight. That's why I need you to go there. Max, of course, agrees to go. We then follow Dean, who retrieves Sarah's body and transports it to Max's apartment. The goal is to frame him using the blood of Sarah. Max finally arrives at that location. It's here we learn that Nathan and Dean, they are working together, and they are both lying in wait for Max, intending that he arrives here and they eliminate him. But just a moment after Max's appearance, Jacob also arrives here. Instantly, they both spot each other. The very second Max notices Jacob, he begins firing wildly toward him. Yet Jacob evades his shots. Just then, Nathan and Dean appear here, and they begin shooting wildly at both. Now, Max understands exactly what's happening here. It's clear Jacob doesn't intend to kill him, but Dean and Nathan absolutely want to kill him. This is why he also begins firing back at them. At that point, Jacob pulls out his firearm, and he promptly ends Nathan's involvement. Dean, however, begins sprinting away from here. The two men pursue him. While chasing, they both end up inside a van. There, they begin battling. Jacob, however, manages to drop Max down. He hands over the gun. He demands that now you have removed my son from the hospital. Upon hearing this statement, Max chooses not to tell Jacob that his son is already dead. Instead, he transports him to the hospital. After arriving at the hospital, he presents his dead body. The instant Jacob beholds his son's corpse, he completely breaks down and starts weeping. He thrusts the gun toward Max in anguish, demanding that he kill him. But Max finds he can't kill him. They both begin to walk out. That is when Max sees Yuka standing before him. Immediately, Yuka accuses Max, alleging that he murdered Sarah. This is because Sarah's body was discovered inside Max's home. But now, the second Max sees Sarah's body, he shatters and starts weeping. Yuka moves to apprehend him. Jacob grabs Max and they flee. Max yells that they have framed Yuka too. The two of them escape. Yet they both feel utterly heartbroken. Because the person that was dearest to them, they both have lost them. This is why they just depart from here. Max then asks Jacob why he allowed him to live 3 years back. Jacob replies that he never wanted to kill him. I had no reason. After explaining this, he demands of Max, who murdered my son? Max explains that there are likely 3 individuals. The first name is Dean. The second name is Nathan. The third name is Thomas. And these men are the ones who killed Otis and Sarah. This means we must capture Dean first. Then, after agreeing, they proceed to Dean's house, and they take his grandmother as a prisoner. Later, when Dean arrives here, they attempt to interrogate him. Gunfire suddenly erupts here, but ultimately they successfully catch Dean. Following this, they hand him the gun and order, "Call Thomas and tell him to meet you." Dean complies with this demand. He summons him to his container. However, in the chaos of all this, Roy gets shot. Consequently, he dies right here. They then grab Dean and proceed to the container. But Thomas is now completely distraught. This is why he visits the campaigner for the candidate for the mayor, and he starts pleading with her. But she does not offer him any support. She says that, "We have zero connection with you." This is why Thomas must leave here. That girl then telephones a man. She says that, "We are headed for big trouble. This is why you must erase everything." We next see Thomas, who gets to the container. But Jacob and Max immediately ambush him. They demand, "What's happening? We know that you were aligned with Dean, and you also dealt in stolen weapons. Then why did you murder Juan and Sarah? Thomas reveals the entire story. He admits that Juan and Otis, both of them had arrived to purchase firearms. Then they happened to see Nathan and Harvey. Otis had been previously arrested by the police. This is why he recognized both Nathan and Harvey. He instantly realized that they were police. Thomas then ordered them to kill them. These men also confiscated their money. With those funds, they began supporting the mayor. This is because a corporation named Kincaid is bankrolling the mayor. Because if the mayor wins, then he will award all the contracts to the company named Kincaid. While all this is happening, the mercenaries from Kincaid arrive here. They immediately start shooting them. A stray bullet strikes Max. Jacob immediately runs and hides. Then Dean locates Jacob. He is just about to execute Jacob when Max shoots Dean. They then eliminate all the mercenaries one by one. They soon realize that Thomas is escaping. This is why they race after Thomas. And this time Jacob kills Thomas. Max believes that it is all finally over. This is why he aims his gun at Jacob. He then recalls that a few years prior, Jacob had shown him mercy. This is why he lowers his weapon, letting Jacob go. He says that the police are about to arrive here. So flee as quickly as possible. Jacob honors this and runs away. Then the police arrive here. They immediately fire upon Max, because they are still convinced that Max himself killed Sarah.